Are we now ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Bailiff, if you'll so show the jury in, please. All right. All jurors are present. Be seated, please. Is the state ready to proceed with its next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Next witness will be Stacy Paschel.
Yes, ma'am. If you'll raise your right hand to be sworn, the clerk will swear you in.
I swear to God that the testimony that you will read will be the truth and the whole truth, so help you God.
Have a seat, please, and adjust the microphone so that you can speak into it. And then I'm going to ask you to state your name and then spell your name.
Stacy Paschel, Stacypaschal.
State.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Paschel, do you know a Rhonda Jewell?
Yes, sir.
Do you see her in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, if you could.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Can you please point to her and identify to the court what she's wearing?
A black blazer and a white top.
All right, Your Honor, for the record, she's identified the defendant.
The record will reflect that, yes.
On July 19th of 2023, was the defendant taking care of your children?
Yes, sir.
And how many kids do you have?
3.
And what are their ages?
At the time, they were 9, 3, and 3.
And the 2 3-year-olds, are they twins?
Yes.
2 boys and a girl?
2 boys. And my daughter, yeah.
And your daughter. Okay, that's what I thought. What were the hours that she would be watching your kids?
Usually between 8 and 8:30 until between 5 and 5:30.
Okay. Let me take you to July 19th of 2023. On that day, did the defendant come to your house to watch your kids?
Yes, sir.
What time do you remember her arriving, approximately?
Between 8:15 and 8:30.
When she came into your house, do you remember what she had in her hand, what she brought with her?
She had her pink large cup, a can of chicken, and a bag of chips.
Did she have anything else with her?
Her cell phone.
Her cell phone, okay.
Yes, sir.
Anything other than that?
No.
Did she enter through the front door or back door? How does she normally get in?
The side door, which is what we consider our garage door.
Okay. And do you remember where her car was parked that day?
It was parked in the rocks to the side of the driveway.
So it was outside?
Yes, sir.
Is that where she normally parked?
Yes.
Was your husband home at that time?
No, he had already gone to work.
And when do you normally go to work?
Usually between that 8 and 8:30 time frame.
Do you remember when she came into your house, did she say anything to you before you left for work?
We had a typical conversation like we do every time. I call it like a handoff to anybody that keeps my kids. So we just exchanged a few words regarding the kids.
And do you remember her saying anything to you?
She had said that her shoulder hurt, that she had hurt her shoulder a few days ago. And then we just spoke about the kids. I let her know that they were all still in bed.
So your kids were asleep when she arrived?
Yes. My daughter may have been awake at the time, but she was in her bedroom on her iPad.
When she came into your house, did you see her with an infant named
sir.
Ariya?
No, sir.
Have you ever seen Ariya before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me how you know about Ariya.
I knew that she was Rhonda had asked if she could keep her best friend's baby or best friend's grandbaby on occasion when she had my kids. So I had seen Ariya a couple of times.
So she would bring Ariya to your house on certain occasions?
Yes, sir.
On that day, did you see Ariya at all?
No.
Did she bring Ariya ever into the house?
No, sir.
Did she ever bring a baby bag into the
No,
house?
sir.
A baby blanket?
No, sir.
Did she mention anything to you about Ariya that day before you went to work?
No, sir.
Do you remember what time she came to your house? I may have already asked.
It was between 8:15 and 8:30. I do not recall the exact time.
And you left around what time did you say?
Between that time frame.
Okay. After you left the house, you go to work.
Yes, sir.
Do you then hear from the defendant at what time?
Before 9 a.m., she sent me a picture of my son's back that I had requested
How did you get this picture?
via text message.
So you text back and forth with the defendant.
Yes, sir.
That day of July 19th, do you recall how many times you texted with her?
If I recall correctly, it was just that time, and then I didn't speak to her again until she called.
Did anyone else call you that morning before you heard from the defendant?
Yes, my daughter called me from her cell phone.
Okay. What did you tell your daughter? And how old is your daughter?
She was 9 at the time.
Okay.
And she had called to ask a silly question. I don't recall exactly what it was, but I could hear her brothers in the background. So I asked her if her brothers were behaving. They usually were little balls of energy.
Yes.
And I could hear Rhonda's voice in the background. That was it. It was a very short conversation.
And did you tell your daughter to do anything?
I had asked her to make sure she brought her puppy inside
Where was the puppy?
in the backyard.
Okay, so outside.
Yes, sir.
Why did you ask her to bring the puppy inside?
We always brought it in for a nap or just to be in the air condition. It was very small, had been dehydrated a couple of times.
So were you concerned about the puppy being outside in the
Yes.
heat?
Yes.
And is it your understanding she did bring the puppy in?
Yes.
Do you eventually get a phone call from the defendant?
Yes.
Okay, and do you remember approximately what time it was?
In the 12 o'clock hour, I don't remember the exact time.
Okay, no, that's
Sorry.
okay. You were at work when you get this phone call?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what did the defendant say to you when she called you?
She said that I needed to come home right now. She was screaming and crying on the phone. She said that she left the baby in the car and that I needed to come home right now.
When she said she left the baby in the car and you need to come home, were you thinking that maybe it was possibly your kids?
No, sir.
Okay, did you ask her about your kids?
Yes, I
What did
did.
you ask her?
I said, I need to know what happened. Are my kids okay? And she said, your kids are fine.
Okay, so you were concerned for your kids' safety, obviously.
Yes, sir.
When she said, I left the baby in the car, what did you think when she said that?
I assumed that she meant Ariya.
Okay, because you had seen Ariya come to your house before.
Yes, sir.
So you get this call from her saying, I left the baby in the car. What did you do?
I dropped everything I was doing and grabbed my stuff and ran to the front of my office to get someone to bring me home.
Did you drive home?
No, I could not. My vehicle was being detailed at the time, and so I just looked at the first person in the front of the office and asked her to please drive me.
How long does it take you to get to the house?
A couple of minutes. I only live about a mile and a half-ish down the road.
And you live on Estate Street, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's here in Baker County?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you first get there, what do you see?
There were a lot of police officers and ambulances and fire trucks.
You see your 3 kids?
When I pulled in, no, I did not.
When did you first see your kids?
When I got to the porch, I saw 3 sets of eyes looking out the window at me.
What did you do when you saw your kids?
Sorry.
That's okay.
I tried to speak to Rhonda first, and then I dropped all my things on the porch and went inside to check on my children.
When you spoke to Rhonda, what did she tell you?
She was frantic. It was very difficult to understand her, but she just kept saying that she forgot the baby in the car.
So she admitted that to you.
Yes, she was crying very hard, gasping for air.
And then you said your kids, were they inside when you got home or outside?
They were inside the house, but I could see the blinds peeked open, and all 3 of them were up against the window looking outside.
Did you then go inside the house
Yes, sir.
to take care of your kids?
Yes, sir.
Did you speak to Rhonda again later that day or during this?
I did. I calmed my children down, and I went outside to wave for the girl that drove me home. She waited by the ditch. I asked for her to come sit inside with my children, and so I could go check on Rhonda. And when she came in to sit with my children, I stepped outside just to ask. I wanted to know what happened. I guess at the time it wasn't dawning on me exactly what had happened.
What'd she tell you?
She just kept repeating the same things over again, that she forgot the baby. And she was crying and she was throwing up.
But once again, she admitted she forgot the baby in the car.
Yes, sir.
When you got there, did you ever see Ariya?
Oh, I did not.
She had already been transported?
She was, I guess, in the ambulance. I never saw her. And I never saw her.
Ms. Paschel, thank you. I think that's all I have.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I tender the witness.
Cross-examination?
You need a minute, Ms. Paschel, or are you okay?
Keep going.
If I ask you a question you don't understand, please ask me to repeat it, okay?
Yes, sir.
The state asked you how you knew Rhonda. Did you know her? How did you know her?
She was a mutual friend. I had never met her before she kept my children, but when I asked about her in the community, I mean, we asked very in depth. My boyfriend knew very well of her, had been around her. My best friend recommended her. So we received a lot of great reviews, I guess you could say, that she was amazing with children.
So, fair to say you knew her but never met her?
I had never met her before she kept my children, yes, sir.
And so I understand further that maybe your prior babysitter had an issue and had to quit. Was that my understanding?
Yes, without warning.
And that was kind of sudden, if I recall correctly?
Yes, sir.
So you needed someone quickly.
Yes, sir.
But you just didn't hire on the spot, right?
No. I'm a helicopter mom, so I asked around. I worked at an office local full of women that have grown up in Baker County. I'm not from Baker County. And every single one of them said if you could pick one person in Baker County to keep your children, it would be her. So she came highly recommended.
Did you meet with her before hiring her?
I did. We did like a phone call. I called it like a phone interview, really. We talked for a long time. She asked questions. I asked questions. And then she came to the house and sat down, and then we met. Me and my boyfriend met with her again to talk, and she met the kids.
When did she actually start sitting with your children?
I want to say the end of March. I don't know a specific date.
End of March, 1st of April, maybe?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But just to go back and make sure I'm clear, you have 2 3-year-old twin boys.
Yes, sir.
Guess they're older than that now, at the time they were.
Yes.
You have a 9-year-old daughter.
Yes.
Am I correct in saying that the home on the State Street is where your husband live, and all 3 of those kids live, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is it also fair to say that on some occasions when Rhonda would watch the kids, your daughter wouldn't be there?
Yes, on occasion.
Okay. Would it also be fair to say that when you first hired Rhonda to watch your children, that she watched them more than she was by the time the summer rolled around, correct?
Yes, correct.
How often was she watching them early on?
Early on, it started 3-4 days a week. And then as summer approached, I had a little bit more assistance with by the kids' grandmas. And so it bumped down to like 2 to 3 days a week.
And as I understand it, you, as you said, just work right down the road, correct?
Yes, sir.
You work at a health agency?
Yes.
Okay, you're a nurse.
Yes.
So again, early on, it was 3 or 4 days a week consistently, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then toward the summer, it became 2 to 3 days a week. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for that.
No, that's okay.
Sorry.
Yep.
Was that oftentimes on Wednesdays and Thursdays?
Every week was different. So we kind of either on the Friday before or over the weekend, we would discuss, hey, what you got this week? What days are you available? When, and we just went like that, whatever worked for each other.
Is it accurate to say that on this particular week, she was going to watch the boys and your daughter on Wednesday and Thursday?
Yes, sir.
So she didn't watch them on Monday and Tuesday?
No, sir.
Or on Friday, obviously?
No.
Prior to July 19th, approximately how many times would you say she watched your boys or your daughter just as a group? Let me ask you this better.
Okay.
If I said 4 days a week from March or April through early June, and then 2 to 3 days a week after that, that'd be pretty accurate.
Yes, that's accurate.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Any ever any problems with Mrs. Jewell?
No, she was wonderful for us.
Did your children have a nickname for her?
They called her Rah Rah.
And I think you told us already that she would watch either both the boys or the boys and your daughter from about sometime between 8 and 8:30 until about 5 to 5:30, correct?
Yes, sir.
Feed them,
Yeah.
of them all those things that provide care.
Yes.
Ever any problems with that?
No. She got my boys to try new things, which was very difficult. She interacted with them very well. She actually played with them and taught them things.
Objection, Your Honor. Improper character evidence.
Sustained.
Do you have any safety concerns for your children at all?
No, sir. Never.
Mr. Yazdi, I asked you about a text. Now, on the morning of the 19th, what did you ask Rhonda to do once you had left?
I had told her my son, Jackson, one of the twins, had fallen, gotten hurt the night before. I had asked her if she'd send me a picture of his back when he woke up. I was afraid that he was going to have a really bad bruise from his fall.
And did she do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that injury had nothing to do with Mrs. Jewell?
Oh, no, she wasn't even there. It happened at our house. He was being a typical boy.
Thank you. And other than the phone call your daughter made where you could hear the boys in the background as well as Rhonda talking, you had no further communication, correct?
No, sir.
first hired Mrs. Jewell, you had a lot more text with her, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you remember approximately when Ariya started coming over to your home?
I feel like it was in May.
You're not 100% sure?
No, I'm not sure of a date.
It certainly would have been by June, is that fair
Yes,
enough to say?
yes.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that Ariya was never there when you got home?
No, she was always gone. She left at like lunchtime, I think.
You're not sure because you weren't there?
Yeah, I wasn't there, but
The routine that Rhonda would normally follow, would be she would come through the side door next to the actual garage doors, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was open generally, I'm assuming.
yes,
And inside the garage there was, I know at least a golf car, but other items as well, correct?
yes,
I think you'd indicated in prior testimony that some of your husband's parents' furniture was in there, so no cars would go in there.
oh
correct?
no, slam packed.
Okay. And through that garage, there's a second door into the actual house.
Yes, sir.
Where does that door come out in your home?
It comes out into the living room. It's all an open floor plan, so you would walk to the left as your living room, to the right would be a hallway down to my bedroom, and then forward would be the kitchen.
If you were to walk in the front door of your home, what would be the first thing you'd walk into?
The living room.
Okay. And what's behind the living room toward the back of the house?
There would be the kitchen and dining room, and then beyond those walls is a playroom.
And so if you walked in, you would see all that, basically all but the playroom, correct?
Yes,
Okay. You'd see the dining room, the living room, and then the kitchen.
yes, there's no walls, it's open.
Thank you. And then there's a separate room, sounds like, where there's a door into what you call a playroom.
Yes, yes,
And is that off to the right if you walk to the kitchen area?
to the left.
To
So
the
between the kitchen and dining room,
Okay.
that's all open, but then there's a doorway that goes into a playroom.
And you had told Rhonda that just to knock and come on in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That was her routine.
That's what I do, family and friends, just knock and come in. Some mornings I would be getting dressed, or something. She knew that she could come in, she didn't have to stand at the door.
Would it be fair to say that on the 19th, you had asked Rhonda to come a little bit early because you wanted to get to work, because you had a meeting at work, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
And that when she did arrive, you were in a hurry to leave.
Yes, I had my stuff gathered to leave.
You had this very brief conversation with Rhonda, and then you went out the front door, I'm assuming?
The garage door.
Garage door.
Yes, sir.
Got into your vehicle and back down the driveway.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Asdi asked you about a phone call that you got from Rhonda Jewell. You're not sure what time it was.
I don't remember a specific time. No, sir.
I told you it was around 1:15. Would that sound about right to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you also agree it was a very short call?
Very short. Yes.
And in this call, were you expecting to get a call from her at that point?
No, it was rare for her to call me during the day. Usually it was either a text message or a Snapchat. So I knew to answer immediately.
And when you answered the phone, I guess you knew it was her calling from the
Yes.
phone, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
What did Rhonda Jewell sound like to you at that point?
She was distraught. It was very hard to understand her. I think I had to say, Rhonda, I had to try to get through to her, I need to know what's wrong. She was screaming, she was crying.
Mr. Yessie asked you about what Rhonda Jewell said in the phone call. I think I wrote it down correctly. She told you you need to come home right now,
Yes, sir.
that your kids were fine,
Yes, sir.
and she left the baby in the car is how you phrased it.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did she also say this? I left the baby in the car. How could I be so stupid? How could this happen?
Yes, sir.
As I understand your testimony, you obviously rushed home, and a friend drove you.
Yes, sir.
And again, you're a few minutes away, obviously.
Yes, sir.
And you described the scene when you first arrived, and you described going up to the house and seeing your kid's eyes
Yes,
looking
sir.
out the window. And where is Miss Jewell, Rhonda Jewell, at that point? Do you remember?
She was on the front porch. She was by herself, from what I remember. She was on the front porch and she was crying.
Did you talk to her at all at that point?
I did. I just said, Rhonda, what's wrong? What happened?
And what did she say?
She said, I forgot the baby in the car.
So you go in and check on your kids, obviously.
Yes.
That's your primary force
Absolutely.
at this point.
Absolutely.
And they were fine, obviously.
Just concerned.
Sure. So how long before you come back out would you estimate it? A minute or two?
Yeah, just a minute or so. I told them told Big Sister to get the boys away from the window. And I told him, just hang on a second. Let me get the girl that drove me home. Let me get her to come sit inside with them.
Right, the lady that drove you from your work
Yes.
went inside with them. Okay.
Yes.
You went out to speak to Rhonda.
I did.
That's because you wanted to know, you weren't sure what had happened at this point, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is she out there by herself still? Do you remember?
Yes.
What was she doing at that point?
Crying. She was throwing up and then dry heaving.
Was she saying anything at that point when you went out on the porch to speak to her?
She just kept repeating the same things over and over again, that she forgot the baby, and she asked me to call Mr. Robbie.
So she repeated, I forgot the baby, I forgot the baby, I forgot the baby.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you describe her as extremely distraught?
Yes, sir.
Did you think she was in a panic mode at that point?
Absolutely.
Objection, Your Honor, speculative.
Sustained.
Ms. Paschel, did you notice that whether Rhonda Jewell had urinated on herself at this point?
Yes, sir.
You could see that very clearly.
Yes, sir.
At some point, did you, at law enforcement's request, get her a change of
Yes, sir. I went in my
Pardon?
house and tried to find her a pair of shorts.
just a pair of shorts?
Yeah.
Please, can I have just a moment? last things, Ms. Paschel. Just to be clear, you had seen Ariya before, correct?
Yes.
She had brought her into your home when she arrived, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
You mentioned early on that you two texted a lot more early on. Would it be fair to say that these were quick texts, right?
Yeah. I usually would just check in every hour, every couple of hours, things of that nature.
From everything you know, she spent quality time with your boys and your daughter.
Yes.
When
My
she was
children
there-
love her. Yes.
When she was there, she was engaged with them directly, correct?
Yes. Directly.
And you've witnessed this, correct?
Yes, absolutely. She would walk right in the door if they were awake, get right on the floor and start playing trucks or trains or whatever they were playing with.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, can she be excused, subject to recall?
Subject to recall, Judge.
Okay, fine. If you'll step down, please, ma'am.